Lots of us play games to go on an epic adventure filled with massive danger, or to be part of a team coming together to get that sweet W. And sometimes playing games is managing a town and trying to prevent your people from starving. Hi neighbors, this is Austin OTGN, and today we are reviewing Mandalorian's Early Access. We bring you our latest reviews on video games here fairly and honestly. We love what we do and love to deliver it to you. Let's get into it. Developed by Slavic Magic, this is an early access game developed by one person, and it's impressive what he has made so far. Greg, you should really be proud of what you have made. When you play a management sim, it's important that the theme is perfect for your playthroughs, since most of the game is going to be logistics and city planning, looking at spreadsheets. And the tone is absolutely great with this game. Slavic Magic, true to its name, have given this game a medieval times Slavic theme with its settings and buildings. Even the music matches this theme. If you end up thinking this looks a lot like a place from The Witcher, you're spot on, as Greg took inspiration from his playthrough of The Witcher 3 and from his culture. You start the game off by choosing your portrait and name for your lord. You can also personalize your coat of arms here, which is a major part of your identity. You're given 5 families and a bunch of starter resources as you rush to go get food and start developing. Starving at this point of the game is nigh impossible. Eventually you'll start developing a little modest town as you follow the tutorials and complete the town tiers above to unlock further skill points. These skill points aren't fully developed yet, but I'm liking how much they give you, and you really gotta project what your town is going to do in the future. Are you going more into farming, more into industry? The choice is yours. My first regions are typically focused on food, depending on my resources, so further regions I can provide too. My second regions, I typically aim for industry and providing resources to develop my army. For example, my first region shown on screen had amazing fertility for crops, so I focused it as my food maker and specialized into farming. My second region had a rich iron mine, so I went down industry to make the mine infinite so I can amass a substantial army. There's so much detail in these towns as well. When people die, you have to employ a pastor to help them get buried. Also, family members will come and pray for their loved ones. This didn't even have to be implemented, as most people won't zoom in to see this, but it's amazing that it's there and I love the attention to detail. There's a pretty robust trade system to sell off your surplus items and import high priority items if you just can't get them. I channeled my inner Yuri Orlov and became a Lord of War, selling bows to the highest bidder.
The only question is, how do we arm the other 11?
There's some sort of piece to managing a town of villagers and trying to have them thrive and grow, and makes me feel all warm and cozy inside. But there's also the horror when you do such a horrible job that they're all starving or being overrun by raiders. This game is actually extremely difficult. Even with tutorials, there is a massive skill entry and ceiling to keeping everyone alive, and I enjoy the process of bettering my knowledge to make my town safer. Make sure you always have enough. And while you do need to expand to further develop your economy, it's also at the cost of higher food and fuel costs. Overexpanding too fast will lead to the downfall of your town. But you also can't take too long to develop. Over time, bigger and bigger raiding parties will come and try to burn your village down. If you can't fight off these raiders, they will absolutely burn your entire town down, reversing all of your progress. It takes a lot of resources to create an army, but it takes even more recruits that require even more food. With trial and error, you will eventually find the right balance and overcome all of your obstacles. This game makes you really grasp and appreciate all the crap our ancestors had to go through with having to face starvation, freezing to death, or being murdered. Makes me kind of grateful I was born when I was. The combat in the game isn't super in-depth, but for a management game, it is quite surprising. When an enemy attacks, you can rally any units that you meet the quota for. That means the right amount of recruits and armaments. Throwing this on top of the difficult food management really adds a bunch of tension to this game. You can have your levies choose how they engage combat, choosing defense over offense, or offense over everything. It's also important you flank the enemy with your bowmen, as those shields will block your ranged attacks. You know, for a minute I thought I was playing medieval Total War here. With a little more development and mechanics, these battles can be even more fleshed out. It's also amazing that these battles are happening simultaneous to your town management too. And I had very few bugs during combat, which is really surprising. Come to think of it, the bugs in this game are very minimum. Maybe a couple of issues with the ox not responding, or the crop rotation not working properly. But everything seems to be working properly. But with management games, it's hard to tell if the game is operating correctly, or if you are just playing the game incorrectly. As you play correctly, you'll learn more mechanics and a way of developing your communities. From the annual tax to your king, which you'll either pay or suffer the consequences, from transporting goods between regions, laying claim to other regions, developing some industries to fund the war effort. Because war is inevitable, and war never changes. I would love to see some siegecraft like some catapults in the game, or siege towers, or full castle sieges. I'm very excited to see what else this developer adds to the game, and I'm very hopeful for this game upon full release. So far, with what I'm seeing, I will highly recommend this game to y'all. It's a great game if you're into the whole management sim, and I'm entirely impressed that most of this was done by one person. This really goes to show that gaming companies these days are completely overbloated. I would love to see more minor developers with more condensed teams to make stuff more intimate and made with love, instead of corporate slop that is constantly being pushed to us. Manor is an amazing example of what can be made if you love what you do and aren't completely hindered by corporate overreach. If you're still here, I really want to thank you for your support. I hope you liked and subscribed. We have grown so quickly, and I'm super excited to bring y'all more and more reviews and content. God bless you all, and as always, come be our neighbor.